How's it going, everyone? It's Nathan from Nathan's DIY World, and today we're working again on the 2002 Tundra Sequoia. So as you can see right now, we're cold started. I'm not touching the gas. It's idling about 1700 RPMs. And if you try to hit the gas, it doesn't do anything. I'll show you. Unless you put it all the way to the floor, then it finally revs up a little bit. So as I got this thing has 381,000 miles on it. You can see the throttle body has to be serviced periodically. So this is going to be for all the drive-by-wire Tundras and Sequoias. 2000 up to 2006 basically has the same type throttle body. Some of the pre-2002 Tundras have a cable throttle body. That could also cause a problem where it needs to be cleaned also. Okay guys, so we're going to show you get this cleared up. What we're going to want to do here, now mine's a little bit different. Mine has a colder intake on it, or at least the filter. I got tired of cleaning or replacing the air filter with the factory air box. So I just put a cleanable, washable filter on it. It still runs the factory tubing. Maybe eventually we'll go to a hard pipe tubing. I don't know if that makes any difference or not. What we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and pull this top cover off, and this top cover has two bolts. It has one or two nuts. It has one right here and it has one right here. Now mine's been broken off for about 200,000 miles now, so we're going to go ahead and pull this guy off, and we're going to go ahead and take our 10mm clamp off on our throttle body. I'm going to try to put you on the tripod here and hopefully get the right kind of shot for you, and so you can see me do it, and you can see me do everything you need to do to get this cleared up. Okay, so here we are. Let's see if I can do this without knocking the camera over. We're going to take our battery in past the 10. We're just going to zip this off. We'll put everything out of the way. We're going to go ahead and remove this guy here. We'll set him right there for right now. We're putting all this stuff back on right away. We're going to go to our 10mm bolt on our clamp. We're just going to do the clamp, not where it falls apart, just where it's nice and loose like this. We're going to go ahead and take our, let's go ahead and pull this one too. The one that holds the AC hose on. We'll put him over here out of the way. Now you don't have to take this tube totally off the truck, you just need to get it out of the way. So put that up there. We're just gonna wiggle this, and these usually are stuck on there pretty good. This one doesn't seem to be any exception. Let me get something and try to pry this loose. We don't want to rip it. Oh, there we go. Sometimes you gotta get a screwdriver in behind it and wiggle it loose. You don't want to tear this. These are really hard to find and really expensive. We'll go ahead and pull it off the rest of the way. And we'll go ahead and inspect this all around here and make sure none of that's cracked. It still looks good. Waiting on the day that does crack, we're going to go to the cold air intake. We're going to go ahead and pull off the hose over here, go into the box. Just the big one only should be sufficient. We're just going to kind of lay this out of the way. Just like that. You don't need to go any further away than that. At this point in time, grab it here. You go ahead and you can see in the throttle body, you can see the dirt around there, and you can push this open. Don't cram it open. Push it open real slow, because how this works is there is a, let me see, what was the deal? I can't remember. It's been a while since I had this one apart. In here there was plastic gears that drive a worm gear that open this up. So you got three different stages of this. The first stage, we're going to hold this open, and you can see how dirty it is in there. We're going to clean that out, paying special attention to spray up around the bushings where the center support holds it in. I'll try to get you all the way up in there. And you can see there's a screw that holds the butterfly as a rod that goes across, and there's brass bushings in the corners here. So while holding it open, you're going to take your, in this case, a microfiber and some carb cleaner. Carbon choke cleaner. You could also use throttle body cleaner. Do not use brake parts cleaner on this. It probably don't make any difference, but you know, just in case. We're going to go ahead and wipe, while holding it open with our left hand, we're going to wipe all around there, and we're going to spray in the bushings. So this is the first stage. Now, if this doesn't work, you need to pull these 4 bolts up here, and you need to go and clean it from the back side. I think for this video, we're going to go ahead and do that. That way you guys know it's a 50-50 shot. If you clean it all the time, cleaning from the front will work. If it's super dirty, you pretty much have to take the throttle body off to get it clean. Okay, so for this, we're going to use the 12 millimeter. You don't have to use the deep well. We have a deep well. Make sure you can see that in the screen. We're going to use in this case, you could just use a ratchet. To pull it off, we're going to use a universal for a little 1/4" drive impact. This is an impact universal. You can buy this in any auto parts store. It's about $10 a piece, or about $3 off eBay. So going reverse, we're going to go ahead and pull it backwards. And we're going to pull each nut off as we're going along here. We're going to keep everything to the side. If you have a magnetic tray, it's probably even better. Bolt. But we're not going to use this to put it back on. We're going to use a 3/8 drive ratchet to put it back on. You guys see me use impact a lot, especially on the other channels' videos, to disassemble. You rarely ever see me use it to reassemble. So okay, so once we're at this point, we may have to get a pair of pliers here to loosen the clamps. Let's see. We're going to go ahead and pull this top hose off. This just has a thumb clamp. You squeeze like that. And we don't need to pull this completely off of there. We just need to slide it back. So we're going to go ahead and flip our throttle open. We're going to hook our cable off the throttle body. That's going to release that. And we're going to go ahead and try, without breaking anything, to work this off of there. We're going to plug the plug right here. Just like that. It's been a pretty good while since I had to mess with this, so I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. Remember last time I did it without taking the water lines off, and that's what we're going to try to go for this time. I just don't know if we're going to be able to do that or not without disassembling that. Let's see here. Let me grab some pliers. Let's go ahead and just pull the water lines off. Okay, we're back. We're going to go and pull the top water line off first. We may have to take this vacuum line off. And what I'll do, I'll take the clamp off. I'll take my pair of pliers and go like that and break it loose. Once you break it loose, you just pull it right off. So with our water line, you can use any pliers. Needle nose are fine. Regular pliers are fine too. Once you do that, go back in here. You can pull them off real easy. And the color of that coolant reminds me too, one of these days, sooner than later, that I need to change the coolant in this thing, especially with winter coming on. Okay, so we only took the one line off, the one coolant line off, and we're going to inspect our gasket. But these gaskets hardly ever go bad. Go ahead and pull this off of here. It's a metal reinforced gasket. It has these little stubs on it to hold it into the intake. And we're going to set that off to the side and not forget to put that back on. Let me see here. So just kind of peering down the intake, I just see a very tiny bit amount of oil. I mean the tiniest, which is normal, especially for this thing having that many miles on it. And we're going to try to see if we could just flip this up just like that. And let me get this. And you can see on the back of here how much carbon's in that throttle body. This one isn't super bad. I cleaned it about a year ago. These things pretty much require this about once a year, especially as they get more miles on them. I know as this thing starts acting funny, once a year, maybe a little sooner. And it's been acting funny for about a month now, and it'll start off, you'll be sitting there idling in gear, and it'll idle up and down and just start acting odd, idling too high whenever you start it up, and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to take our, in this case, our gum out carb choke cleaner. We're just going to spray on the back side just a little bit and the front side a little bit. We're going to let that sit for a second, and that'll eat that carbon, And then once it's set for a little bit, you can take your microfiber on the back side and you can just wipe it out, and you can see how dirty that is. We'll do that a couple times from the back side. Once you have the back side all clean, we're going to put our straw on our carburetor cleaner. Make sure it's all the way on there. And we're going to spray around our bushings where the shaft goes in without losing that straw. Alright, and then what we're going to do, we're going to pop this back down. We're going to flip our butterfly open with our hand. We're going to wipe in where the butterfly seals to the aluminum, the bottom and on top, just by using one finger. Then while we're still holding it open, I'll go ahead and do this. And you're going to have to repeat the procedure until all that carbon's gone out of there. Just like that. We're looking pretty good. Let my hand dry off just a little bit before I go grab on the camera with it. And at this point in time, it's not perfectly clean yet, but we're right there. See, when you flip it open, there's still just a little bit of crud in there, but not much. We'll go and give her one more clean, and we'll bolt it back up. Don't forget to put your gasket back on. And if this doesn't fix it, if it's still idling high and acting weird, we're going to have to go back in here. We're going to have to pull these Phillips screws out. We're going to have to take this whole motor off. And once you take that gearbox off, there's a bunch of plastic gears in there, and they have a white lithium grease on them. When I first bought this thing a few years ago, flip the mic around. When I first bought this Sequoia a few years ago, it was having all kinds of issues, and I pulled this off. I took some throttle body cleaner and I sprayed all the old dry hard grease out, and I took some lithium grease and a toothpick and I put the lithium grease on all the gears again, and that totally fixed it. Because what it was doing, it was idling weird. After I cleaned the throttle body, it was still doing it, and it would even surge power when I was pulling the trailer, the car hauler with it. You know, you'd be going up a hill and it would just kind of bog down, like you lose throttle, and then it picked back up. And then it being all this stuff, since this is drive-by-wire, it only has the throttle cable for the cruise control. And at that point in time, what it was doing, it was throttling up and throttling down. So that's pretty much the situation here. Let's go ahead and reinstall this and see if we fixed it. So we'll go and do the reinstallation. It won't take just a minute. We just slip the gasket back down on the studs. We're just going to slip the throttle body back on here like this, and we're going to go ahead and just reinstall our bolts. There's 2 bolts and 2 nuts. Start them with our fingers. When you tighten these down, you don't want to overdo it. They are threading into aluminum. But overall, it's a very easy procedure. I don't know what a shop would charge you to do this, but it's definitely not going to be cheap, just because nothing there ever is. The Toyota dealership might charge you quite a bit. Don't forget to flip the microphone back around, guys. Sorry about that. The Toyota dealership, you know, I don't know what they charge to do this. They probably try to sell you a whole bunch of other stuff and not fix it. Let's just snug them up with this, and we'll get a ratchet and tighten them. Alright, so you take the socket off. Let me go get her a 3/8 drive ratchet and finish them off. Okay, so we're back. Now, you can use a torque wrench, or you're only up about around 15 foot-pounds with this. In this case, we're just going to tighten them up in a cross pattern and just do it by feel. And during a series of 2 sequences, You notice me going from top corner to bottom corner. We're torquing it down. Like I said, around 15 foot-pounds is where you want to end up. We're going to go ahead and put our cable back on. And we're going to slip it in there just like that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put our coolant line back on, which is right here. There we go. And while you're doing this, inspect all these hoses for cracks or anything like that. I'm going to put this guy back on there like that. We're going to go put our vacuum line back on there. Make sure our clamp's seated up good. We're going to go and put our other vacuum line back on. Like that. We're going to plug our plug back in. And this plug is supposed to clip on the metal housing here. Like that. And then this one, which I think was already off, should clip on the other housing up here. I think it goes upside down. Well, something like that. Now everything's reinstalled here. We're going to go back through and we're going to reinstall our throttle body, boot or tube you might say, and it has a little notch right there. The clamp, if you have the factory clamp still, goes in there like that. Very important to make sure that this thing is completely seated in there like so. Yeah, on this one we actually can use our battery impacts. This is a pretty weak impact to snug that up. Making sure that our clamp is good and straight. And we have our 12 instead of our 10. Let me grab the 10 back. Okay, we have our 10 back on our impact. We're going to go install this clamp first. So we're holding that clamp on one finger. We're going to go ahead and this thing is not very strong. That's not that tight. We don't need it that tight. We're going to go ahead and put our 10 back on our AC line. This just has to be snugged up. You don't want that tight. It's tightening down into plastic. And then I think at last we should be done. Let's go ahead and triple check everything. Everything is rehooked back up correctly. We're going to go ahead and put our bolt back in our cover on top. This is the same way. If you put these tight at all, they'll snap off. That's all we need right there. And let's go ahead and put our tools up, start it up, and see if we fixed it. So here we are inside. Sorry about the buzzer. We're going to go ahead and start it up. It should start a little bit hard at first since we have carburetor cleaner in the intake. Little stumble. I need to restart our check engine light. You can see the idle going down. It should fall to about 700 to 800 RPM. It's been sitting here a little while. As you can see in the corner, the temperature gauge is all the way down. I'll hit the gas. Good response. We'll let it warm up a little bit and come back. Okay, so here it's been about, I don't know, a good 5 minutes. And you can see it's down to